You have no doubt heard of or possibly even shopped at a Sam's Club or neighborhood market. But just as with every big business, there must be a starting point. And that brings us to Bentonville, Arkansas. Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. It's very cold, very rainy, but that will not stop me from diving deep, not into the empire it has become, but how it began, and a man by the name of Sam Walton. Join me, shall you? It is appropriate, however, to show a supercenter, gigantic retail establishment that have pretty much taken over every nook and cranny, every state in the good old US of A. The very mecca of massive consumerism, if you will. And now gas stations where you can get your convenience store fix. But it wasn't always that way. Not back in 1950 when a little store here in the town square opened right over there. Walton's 5 and 10, where you could purchase products for a dime or a nickel, hence the name. May 9th to be exact, and this placard was dedicated in 1983, and just below it is a replica of Sam's truck he used to drive. I think I'm a little over the weight limit. I'm a little heavier than 50 pounds, so I won't be jumping in that. After stepping in, you'll notice it is a museum dedicated to the man himself. This is his high school yearbook. He's pictured bottom right corner, second photo up. On the left there, he was the youngest Eagle Scout in Missouri, and in 1932, he rescued his friend from drowning. Now, 5 years before opening this place bearing his name, he managed and operated a Ben Franklin store, and they have that door on site. You could even call this a memento of his pre-entrepreneurial beginnings. There it is right there, but let's be honest, there ain't no Franklin Marts. This is the store I'm currently standing in, the third self-service variety establishment anywhere in the country when it opened. And look at the crowds that showed up for a Christmas event that opening year. In 1943, he married his wife Helen on Valentine's Day. They just so happened to have the wedding dress. At the time of his death in 1992, at the home office, they photographed all the items in their proper place, and now they are sitting here behind this glass wall. This is where he worked. This is where he did his business. You can just picture him sitting there, making telephone calls, and there's his best friend right there on the coffee table, down below. Everything meticulously recreated in the exact spot, including his father's cane hanging on the wall. You might also notice that baseball cap back there on the shelf that he would always wear, and the football was given to him by Mike Ditka of the Chicago Bears. It's hard to imagine all the history in there, if that furniture could talk. In 1992, he was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom, giving this statement upon receiving it: "If we work together, we'll lower the cost of living for everyone. We'll give the world an opportunity to see what it's like to save and have a better life." Taking great pride in his work and his company, as it started to grow and he would go to different stores, he would take legal pads, and you can see the tape recorder on the desk, and he would jot down or record notes onto each of those items that the associates would tell him or that he just saw throughout the store that needed to be fixed. In 1962, the first Wal Mart opened its doors, and this is the ad. I hope to go by there a little bit later and check it out. Promising plenty of parking and 22 different departments. I never realized at one point there was a promotional name idea called Action Alley, and there he is standing down the rows of discounted items that were at each location. His guarantee stated that if you purchased something and didn't want it for any reason, you could return it. Basically, no questions asked, even if your outdoor thermometer did not give the correct time. And I like that his bust is standing there, looking in, almost saying, the customer needs to be satisfied. Just just take it back, just return it. In October of 1970, the company went public. This is a certificate of 100 stocks, each share valued at only 10 cents. It's a little more by today's standards. You must look very closely on the ticker tape, but there's all the details printed on there. Profit sharing always a big part of their operation. Any questions? Just browse through that. Eventually leading to a $1 billion year. America's richest man lives here? Always staying humble, however, this news article states a $5 trim for a $2.8 billion head. He'd continue going to the same barber even years after his success, sitting in this very chair. For a short while in the 90s, there was even an appliance store named after his brother, simply called Bud's. Oh dang, the 10-foot rule, I almost forgot about this one. If a customer gets within 10 feet of you, make eye contact and ask, "Can I help you?" And while I'm on the subject of pens, that's what each and every one of these are. That's a heck of a lot of them. Wow. Our people make the difference. We really do sell for less every day. You know, Wal Mart cares. The proof is in the prices. This is his truck. 65,000 miles on the odometer. It's the kind of guy he was, just cruising around in a pickup. His sunglasses, keys, and registration from inside just the way he left it. This is pretty dang cool. I can just picture him and his dog, old Roy, cruising around, which if you've ever been to a store and purchased their dog food, it's named after old Roy. And a little secret fact, teeth marks of the pooch can be seen right there on the steering wheel. True story. After just a week from receiving his presidential medal, he passed away at the age of 74. And one of his last written messages, thanking his associates for love and friendship. Even though he was the head guy, he'd still wear a name badge. And those are his business cards there to the right. I just noticed the lights on the front of the truck are still on. It's kind of neat they have a Santa sleigh out, not only for the holidays, but it reminds me of that photo inside of the Christmas celebration they had here way back in the day in the middle of the street, and there was a Santa sleigh in that photo. Ended up getting a souvenir in magnet form. I always like these little mementos for my fridge. And on the back it states Wal Mart, even though technically it is a Walton's 5 and 10. And 1 year after it opened, in 1950, the tile on the floor was put in. And that is still here today, all these years later. The family plot, very humble headstone for such an incredibly wealthy man. I guess he wanted to be remembered in death the same way he was in life. His son is also laid to rest here, as well as his wife by his side. John Thomas, 2005. Helen passed away in 2007, and underneath Sam's, it does state that he was the recipient of the Presidential Medal. There is a button, weather worn. It says, "Share a smile." Just before the sun goes down, in Rogers, Arkansas, at 719 West Walnut. It's an antique store called Somewhere in Time, which if you could go back in time, You would see the opening day festivities as people lined up to go into what was the first store called Wal Mart, designated that name, not the variety store we were at earlier, but an actual Wal Mart. The first one. You can see the Rogers water tower peeking up over the top of the structure that is still here. One thing I'm noticing from this photo above the people who are congregating to go in, notice the lining under the roof line and how there is an X formation up top. And you can see those X formations are still here. The building is the same. Would have taken up about 2/3 of the property. The far right was an IGA grocery store. You can see it designated there on the sign, which means the IGA was right there where the two buildings meet. To the far right was the grocery store, and everything to the left was Walmart. Not much has changed from the road's point of view. Look at the sidewalk right there as it goes from the road there. There's that sidewalk, and there's the angle of the photograph I was just showing. And after the letters WAL starts a little overhang of the signage for whatever reason, but it's still here also. So the WAL was on the left, and then right where that metal signage overhang is, which protrudes up, is where the rest of the lettering was. The glass door frames on either side of a brick pillar, yeah, those also still intact. Been repainted, but the doors still in the same spots. Which means that not only that antique store, but inside this abandoned area is retail history. So cool. Back in the mid-90s, I worked for the company. St. Cloud, Florida was opening a super center, and I was hired on, as well as quite a few other people, to set up the shelving, bring in the product, and then after the grand opening, I worked in the grocery department for quite some time. So today has been a throwback for me, some memories of my past. And I know, just like anyone who starts a business and then time goes on, it takes on its own life, its own entity, especially when that certain company grows so large that it becomes almost uncontrollable from the person and their ideals and ideas. It's very interesting to see what one man started and what it has become. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, please subscribe. By doing so, helps keep you in the loop and up to date on future endeavors, adventures I will be going on, as well as uploads here on this channel. Take it a step further, ring that notification bell. I'll see you in the next video. The vlog is over.